Jesus Christ, that was a bit
That's
loud.
so strange. So strange. That's a new feature.
Mate, like I think I've only ever had that one other time, and then everything else has just kind of been like smooth sailing. And fuck me, I've shat my pants twice for that thing.
It's always that creepy female, like Deus Ex Machina robot voice too, eh?
Yeah, they make it so robotic, like it's like, hey, AI is coming. You know what I mean? Like we're here, we're gonna take over, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's always dead creepy.
yeah. Not a fan.
I wonder if anyone else could hear that, or it's just us two chatting about Ex
I'm
Machine.
sure
I think.
enough people have to work on Zoom now that everyone has to go through that.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, it's dead strange. Like people maybe like would have drove like 20, 30 minutes out of town to go take a meeting will literally just sit in their own home office and now do it on Zoom, which has its benefits and but at the same time, you don't get that social interaction.
Yeah, that's why we do what we do though, because we definitely see the benefit of the social interaction.
Just getting around people. People make the world go round, mate.
That's it. I think
Fuck it.
that's clear now more than ever. It's not being around people. People lose their goddamn minds.
Mm. Yeah, 100% for sure. What's it like in Canada? I know back home in the UK, like it's fucked with that whole type of stuff.
Yeah, it's odd, man. Like different people have different risk factors, but ultimately, like, it's not honestly, it's not great. And I don't want to speak ill of it, but like it is from a procedural standpoint, from a government standpoint, I don't think it's been handled the best. And empirically, there's some evidence to suggest that Canada might be one of the worst developed G8 countries in actually handling this. I know for the vaccine, it's been not that that's like necessarily the answer, but the social barometer, the pressure is very high. Like,
Mm.
people that are usually, famously laid back are now very uptight. So the fear has definitely settled in. And I mean, we're still in lockdowns, man. Like this been going on for 18, 20 months now. And there's still the province of Ontario is still locked down. And I think it's starting to settle in now with people, and people are getting pretty weird. But it is what it is, man. Like no one will ever really come to blows about it. The people just kind of say their piece, whatever makes them feel comfortable, and then they carry on with their day. So
Mm.
it's definitely odd. It's quite the contrast to how Canada was a few years ago.
Mm. Well, it's just adapt and overcome, right? Like fucking play the hand you dealt and all that type of stuff, and just keep moving on, keeping on, keep on keeping on. That's the
I
one.
think that was one of your mates that said that, right? I'm pretty sure that was one of your guys.
Yeah, maybe. Fuck. Oh god
That's a
damn.
Churchill for sure. That's a Churchill. He
Oh, if
said
you're
that.
going through hell, keep going. Yeah, that's Churchill. That's his most famous one. Or
And I
obviously, we'll
think
fight them
that
on
the
the beaches.
keep on keeping on is a Churchill thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, maybe. I
He
mean,
said a lot of clever.
he was a clever bloke.
Yeah. Some would say in New Zealand or Australia, some would say he's a clever cunt.
They say that all the time. Although I tell
I
you what,
believe him.
it's weird, right? Because I'm from the north of England, so things, it doesn't really matter what you fucking say. It's just kind of common language, right? And I came over here, and some of them are quite uptight with it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, everyone's going to be saying cunt all the time. It's going to be fine. And the next thing you know, I drop it, and they're like, oh, excuse me, you can't say that. I was like, what do you mean?
That's what I think. One thing Australia has got over New Zealand is you can say that in just about every set and setting, and no one seems to care. It's a term of endearment, I think, is what
Yeah,
it's often phrased as. It's a term of endearment.
especially if you're referred to as a good cunt. You know what I mean? Like you're like,
Yeah,
ah, okay,
dick
cool.
cunt, mad cunt. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all
I'm
deadly.
doing something right. Yeah, in it, man. So I think one of the biggest things you're known for outside of everything fitness is fucking time management, mate.
Really?
I would say so.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, maybe.
How the fuck do you squeeze everything in?
I wake. I don't sleep a lot. I
Oh,
don't
there you
sleep a
go.
lot. I wake up early. I think the waking up early is a key, and not like even if you go to bed early.
Mm,
I think waking up early to me, it was such a foreign concept when I started in grad school. Like I had to, and for me, waking up early in grad school was like getting up at 7. Like, how
mm,
the fuck am I going to do this for the rest of my life? Now it's like, yeah, you're getting up at routinely. As long as I'm up for a few hours before in the place that I'm in where no one else is awake, it helps me get like a jump. Um, Traveling a lot helps when you're jet lagged. Sleep is few and far between, so you can use that time when you're not asleep to get shit done. I think it's an iterative process, man. Like it's weird. No one's ever really asked me about that, but I guess it's something that like I have to work on and I pay like a decent amount of attention to now that I'm thinking about it. Everything is scheduled, everything is timed, everything is, and like I remember having my first seminar booked like 2 months out. I was like, wow, this is crazy. I have something on my calendar for 2 months from now. And then like it was 3 months, and then it was 6 months, and then it was 10 months, and then it was a year, and then it was 2 years. I was like, holy shit. I think like we get a decent amount of time to manage if you manage the time you have well. So I think a lot of it is my commitments usually precede my time management. I like overcommit myself and go, fuck, how am I going to make this work? And then it's like, all right, well, I can either be more efficient when I'm doing this and do it in less time, or I could wake up earlier, or I could do this while I'm doing this, or I can delegate, which is kind of a cool thing now. Like I have a pretty good team with me, so if I need to get something done that doesn't require me to be there and doing it, I can have that. So I think really, and I've been talking about this a decent amount lately, is like just understanding like points of leverage as well, like kind of how you stand in a relationship and where you can stand to benefit and using leverage to your advantage. So there's a lot of facets that go into it, but I think ultimately, like, especially in the industry, people like the imagery of working or being busy, but not necessarily being productive. And you can usually tell the difference based off of like the end result. Like if the end result is you're still on the gym floor 16 hours a day in 5 years, it's like you've just been busy. Like you haven't been productive, right? So that's something for me that I always try to make sure that when I'm working or whatever I'm working on, I'm being productive and not busy. If I have to busy work, I can just not do it or delegate it. But yeah, that's a dude that totally blindsided me. I didn't really expect that to be something that I was known for, but I guess it's not the worst thing to be known for.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if anyone else picks up on it, but I definitely pick up on it, and it's something that I relate to too. Having to get up maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours before I'm needed somewhere or someone needs me, whether on this thing or where it's whatever. Like I need that time where the world doesn't fucking want me, and I can just kind of do my shit, get my own mind right, so then I can kind of kick the dick and kick the day in the dick instead of playing catch up all the time, which I find most people do, getting up 15 minutes before you needed to go to work. And then it's like, all right, I grab a piece of toast on the way. And then there you go. Like fucking nutrition's gone down the shit because you've probably not got a good food in you. Your mindset's kind of a bit sleepy. You're playing catch up, etc., etc. Yeah, I need that time too, man.
It's amazing to me how little it takes to get very far ahead. Like if you would have told me like, hey man, if you get up like 2 hours earlier every day, and like, cause it's been slow. Like, I mean, I can get up at 4 and be productive if I have to. And there's some days I don't, man. Like there's some days where I just like, we just want to sleep in and I'll get up at 7 or something like that. And that's totally fine. But those days are scheduled. I'm not sleeping through anything because I can sit there and not really have to worry about it. Like, okay, this is kind of novel. I enjoy this. But it's like amazing. If you would have told me 10 years ago, like, hey man, if you just get up at 5 a.m. every day, you're going to be like seemingly, and I don't know if this is the only criteria, but I like to try and get a lot of stuff done. But you'll be so much further ahead, at the very least, of where you are now, let alone where that puts you in your respective field. That I would have done it then, just not. I just didn't know until now. It's like, well, if I had to attribute like just being able to have some of the opportunities that I have, a large in part stems from the fact that I'm up pretty early every day. Because like you said, you got that time to yourself and you can think, which I think is something that people don't do very often because they wake up and all they're thinking about is, oh shit, I'm late. Or, oh shit, I got to run out the door. It's like, I'm thinking about stuff that is going to be productive while I put my shoes on. I'm not thinking about, oh shit, I need to put my shoes on. I'm thinking about other stuff that like will stand to benefit me in the future. But yeah, it's definitely, if at the very least, like it's something that's a process that you just have to start. Right. Like I remember I remember figuring out where my Google Calendar was. And like, oh, that's where it is. And that was day one. I was like, that's okay, I know where it is now. I click the little box with all the boxes and the thing that says calendar, and then all this stuff shows up. And then I downloaded it on my phone. I had nothing in there. but it was just like, and I built, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go to the gym on this time, and that's still the first thing that goes into the schedule. And then like, oh, I can change the color of it. So gym in my schedule is in graphite. It's in like this cool little gray, and then that's where. So all I had for a whole 1 week when I started doing this was like all my gym schedule. It's like I was gonna do this anyways. I already knew I was gonna go to the gym this time, but it was there, and then it was like, well, after the gym, I need to get groceries, and then before the gym, and then it just kind of like spored out, and it got color coded and all this stuff, and now it's like, beginning of the month hits, lay down a foundation. Beginning of every week hits or Sunday hits, we go in like we fill in the blanks, and yeah, it's definitely it's iterative, but it's having that system and having it be to a certain degree adaptable. It allows you to get so much more shit done. It's ridiculous.
100%.
And I'm
mate.
still not anywhere where I want to be with it, but like even in the last couple of years, like just in the stuff that I've been able to do and looking back, there's no way I could have done this if I woke up at 8 o'clock every day.
I still can't get on that sort of Google Calendar drive. I've got my diary right next to me. I need that pen and paper. You know what I mean? I'm more of a less evolved. There we go. He's got it. Like I'm just full of it. Like technology is not my thing. I.e., we are talking on technology. I know that's a bit crazy. He is absolutely wadded with them. That's
I got all the tools, man. I got all the tools. You want to go pen and a pad? You want to go digital?
You got the little sticky notes with different colors on them.
I don't do the sticky note thing because I'm never in the same place long enough, right? I'm in my office right now, but I'm not. I'm quite mobile, so this notebook comes with me. So I do like a pen and a pad. I find like the valuable shit goes in here. Like if I have an idea for like a book, or if I'm expanding on something, or if I'm studying, pen and a pad. So this, if it's good, if it's gold, it goes down. I definitely respect like the medium is the message. So if it's stuff I got to do, notes on my phone, things like that, but the good stuff that goes, I totally agree with you on that. There's something about the old school pen and the pad. If I could, man, I would go around with a fucking giant feather quill and a bunch of, and I'd scroll it.
Yeah, get it on, literally put on scrolls, put it in a glass cabinet behind you. Like these are the rules of Jordan.
Just have someone play a trumpet as I roll it out.
Hey, that sounds like you're building an empire, mate.
Dude, mark my words. If I ever get to where I want to go, that'll be how I start every one of my days. Someone reading me a scroll, red carpet, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, but it has to be recycled paper.
Fuck that! I'll do it on alpaca. I'll just have the most like. I'll do it on some rare animal or something. I'll do it on Dalmatian. I'll do Cruella de Vil.
I watched a good movie last night. The Outlaw King.
I never saw it.
It's about Robert the Bruce and the rebellion of Scotland against England. If you're into the whole medieval kind of scene, it was good.
I think I might resonate more with your people than mine.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of sparked a little bit of a back and forth. Like my good friend over here, he's from Scotland, and obviously I'm from Northern England, so it's kind of like fuck you, we're the better ones, and it's like no, fuck you. It's good though. It's a good film.
I was gonna say, can I help you both out with that debate?
Go for it.
Neither are great. Neither are great. I have some friends from is Blackpool up in your area?
Yeah, it's maybe I'd say like 30 to 45 minutes away from Manchester.
Yeah, I have a good friend from Blackpool. I have some friends from Manchester as well. And it's like, if the argument is between you and Scotland, the answer is anywhere else. And the rest of the world exists. Have you been to Spain? Spain's amazing.
The funny thing is, like, people from the north and people from Scotland are very fucking similar. The difference is when you start getting south, which is quite funny because the people that are very close together end up squabbling over things. You know what I mean? Having the arguments. It's like, hey, we're exactly the fucking same. But that is like everything in life. Let's be honest.
Well, it's always funny because like there's north and south within England, but then there's even north and south within London. Like you go to London, like North London versus South London. Like you go 45 minutes south of London, like, dude, I take my headphones out, like I'm like checking waistlines for guns and knives. Like it's a totally different world, man. I go to Croydon every now and then, and I'm just like, this place is fucking insane.
Yeah, it's a very territorial piece of land. But it's, I mean, it's riddled with history, mate. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like bred into the fucking earth that you need to slap your neighbor, which makes complete no sense at all. But it, you know, it is what it is. It's just history coming out.
You're also a country that still has an old lady that you guys worship, which is amazing to me.
She is proof that aliens exist.
Yeah, dude, she must have been dead. She's been dead for like 10 years. She's just a puppet at this point.
Just yeah, if you look really closely, you can see the strings.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. God damn. Oh, Queen Lizzie. I'd love to get a picture with Lizzie.
Get her on the podcast. Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, that'd be amazing. I'd be the first one.
First
one to say the word cunt in front of the Queen.
Does the Queen have an Instagram? Is what I want to know. Just slide into the DM and be like, "Hey, do you want to come on the podcast?"
Listen, like you fellas croaked it. Do you want to put me in the will?
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she'd be up for it. She got enough to go around.
Yeah, why not? I'm gonna have to ask. Talk to me about Prescript.
Yeah. Well, man, it's been so we started Prescript in 2016. Jordan and I, my co-founder, went to chiropractic college together, and we were two of a handful of students that actually stayed in the area where we studied. So we studied just south of San Francisco, kind of between San Francisco and San Jose. Really expensive place to live, Silicon Valley. You know, you incur like a lot of student debt, and it's too intensive of a program that you couldn't work through it. So it's like we weren't making money. We were spending a lot of money in school. We both opened up our own practice, and we would meet once a week just to commiserate together. Honestly, is what it was. Like, hey, are you pretty poor? It's like, yep. Oh, well, this is how poor I am. Wow, that's pretty poor. And then after a while, we kind of like how we could optimize our business in person. Like, you know, we would help each other out. Like, hey, I'm using this software, I'm using this billing service or whatever. And then we kind of, you know, we grew decently quick in our clinical practices, just because we had like a pretty differentiating focus on being around strength training. And I was a competitive powerlifter. He was really active in the CrossFit community and competitive in the CrossFit community. And then, so we tried to scale our office experience online. It's like, well, we don't really do much we don't do much manual therapy, but the manual therapy we do, we could probably spin up with a lacrosse ball or a foam roller or band or something like that. And the real linchpin is like how it is that you train, not just corrective exercise, but exercising correctly. So we could probably do this to a certain degree online. And we were both like starting our social media, Instagram kind of accounts with the intent and purpose of like building a reputation for being someone in the industry that was educated on like rehab and sports science, things like that. So it started off with by like answering DMs of people like, hey, my knee hurts. And then we put together and shot some videos for some like corrective exercise, of air quoting that, that we found ourselves commonly prescribing for people in person and then commonly prescribing for people online. And then we systematized it into like a periodized program for like the basically shoulders, hips, and spine. So like upper body, lower body, and then midline. And then started doing like custom stuff, and it's just kind of evolved. And in 2018, late 2017, I got approached by a franchise in Canada to revamp their in-person personal training department, like education. Quite like a big club. So there's 375 gyms across the country. And I was to write the curriculum for their leveling system within the gym. So level 2 trainer, level 3 trainer, level 4 trainer, what do they need to know? And then I decided to put that under the banner of Prescript and kind of like have it affiliated with the brand. And then Prescript kind of overnight went from like kind of like a rehab training platform to an education platform. And then I was able to land another contract in later that year with Ultimate Performance, which is like, you know, bigger in the UK. Nick Mitchell is from the UK originally, and there's a handful of clubs across Manchester and Leeds and London and all that. And so similar with Nick, where he just wanted me to kind of teach his trainers across the world, just some of the principles of like anatomy and biomechanics and stuff that I had sort of picked up over the years in school and my own training. And then it sort of really hit stride in probably like late 2018. because all of our in-person education was exclusive to or private or exclusive to private gyms, like you could only really attend anything I was doing if you were a trainer at one of these clubs that had hired me to revamp their education and then subsequently teach it. There was a market online emerging for people who wanted to be a part of what we were doing that were remote. So I decided to make like the Prescript level 1 course, which was like kind of an amalgamation and an expansion off some of the principles that I was teaching at Good Life and some that I was teaching at UP and some that I had documented kind of in a book that I was writing. And I just kind of put it out there in September of 2017, maybe. And yeah, ever since then, we've sort of really been kind of doubling down on our position as like an education company. So right now we have level 1 and level 2 are sort of like our flagship courses, and we have ancillary courses that are specific to Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting. So powerlifting, a skill acquisition. Oh geez, I should be way better at this. We have a programming course coming. I think that's it. Level 1, level 2, barbell weightlifting, skill acquisition, programming. Yeah, so we offer 6 courses right now, and our big focus is just on turning out sort of education curriculum in the space of like sort of health, fitness, functional anatomy, applied biomechanics. That's kind of like it in a nutshell. But yeah, I've never sat down and done like a 5-minute elevator pitch on what the hell the company actually is. So that was an interesting exercise for me.
Mate, like it's really cool to see because, you know, I mean, back in the day when you get into this whole field, it's either you go and do a degree and then you try and figure it out, or you go the other route and don't do the degree and you go to like the YMCA type fitness shit and get like a cert to put on your wall saying congratulations, you are now a personal trainer. It's like, well, what do I do now? Because all I know is how to do PNF stretching and that's about it. So it's like, well, let's just kind of figure it out on the fly, and you use the people as test dummies, right? So it's really cool to see all these different pieces of material coming out where it's like, oh yeah, you can go in person, do that, you can go down that route, you can go do a degree, blah 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 blah. But now there's also online courses, which is absolute second to none piece of information where you're like, wow, this is actually really going to help people, rather than going through 10 years down the line and figuring it out and fucking up a lot of people. Now you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I think it's like it's much. There's a lot more pressure to stay current in the online space with your education. Like I remember going through grad school, and it's the same damn curriculum they were teaching 20 years ago, right? Because they have the accreditation, they have the building, they have the national board, they have all these things behind them that they don't have to change, which is like not really going to push the profession. Like I'm already starting to think that, you know, I've been doing this for a handful of years now, and like I'm already excited to see when someone looks at the stuff that I teach and go like, is that it? Is that, and then takes it and then expands on it, right? Because like, and I'm not like, I grew up under like watching Charles Poliquin, right? To me, I read a Poliquin article when I was 15 about not front squatting over 6 reps. And I haven't I'm 31 next week, and I haven't front squatted over 6 reps in like 16 years. And it's like, I now, you know, 15, 16 years later, I look at Poliquin, and, you know, I have a tremendous amount of respect for his legacy in the industry, but there are things that I can wholeheartedly disagree on. There are things that I can maybe like expand upon that maybe he didn't consider, or like avenues of the field that he just willfully blinded himself to or chose not to explore. But it's like, that's kind of what I want. Like that's, Poliquin was such like a catalyst for me in my career. And it's like, oh, if I can be even like a 16th of what he was, or a 32nd or a 64th, however you want to fractionate him down, then yeah, absolutely. Because like, and I think that the online accelerates that so much. Like you have to be open to new concepts. Like what I'm writing now in the level 2 course is so far beyond when I originally laid out the map for level 1, level 2, level 3. The content of the level 2, as far as like what I think to be difficulties or level of difficulty and comprehension, is way past where I thought it would initially be, just because the people coming in now are that much smarter, right? They're that much more well practiced or well versed. It's like, okay, like we need to stay a step ahead. That's totally fine. So it definitely pushes us to be on kind of like the leading edge of things. And it's hard to even say the leading edge because like a lot of the principles that we're teaching like are just that, they're principles. Like it's not like we're, reinventing the wheel. It's just sort of describing how the wheel works, more than anything. But yeah, it's pretty wild to see how the online space has, I think, had a net positive, at least on the way we approach things as far as like the quality of the information that gets turned out.
It's opened up the competition too, right? So there's a lot more people trying to do the same thing, and then competition just breeds like progression and excellence. And you gotta step up your game. It's like, all right, if you want to be the best out of 10 people, you are the best out of 10 people. But if you want to be the best out of 10 million people, like it's a little bit harder. So it just pushes you to go above and beyond.
Yeah, and it definitely does become, like you say, step your game up. Like it definitely is a game,
Mm,
right? Like there's a cute, because now with social media, like, there's so many other factors that matter other than the quality of your information, right? Like the amount of time I spend, corresponding with graphic designers or photographers or videographers or audio engineers for building podcast studios, or the amount of crap I know about cameras is so unnecessary. Like I can go and be like, oh, is that like a mirrorless Sony A7 III series? Or like, oh, that's the full frame A64. I was like, dude, I fucking lift weights. Like, why do I need to know this? But it's like you see those people who at least respect the fact that, look, if you think you have a message worth sharing, you better dispense of your ego and be like, well, it's great information. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter who teaches it. It doesn't matter if I'm in shape or not. It's like, no, it absolutely. There are times where I don't want to work out, but I want the company to be successful. And I know part of that is me not looking like a potato all the time. So it's like, all right, I guess we'll go train because that's part of it. But it's like, if those are the rules of the game and everyone has to play by those rules, then win the game. Right.
mm,
And so it's interesting to see who can kind of see it for what it is. And this is like a transition from the old guard. Like I remember reading, like Paul Ekman obviously was one, but like Dave Tate, Elite FTS, Louis
mhm.
Simmons, Westside Barbell. And it's like, you only found your way onto those websites if you were really, really into it when we were younger, because it wasn't visually appealing. There was no such thing as clickbait titles. There was no such thing as high resolution image. Like you just went on and you went for it, but that's not the way it is now, especially if you're trying to reach a new market. So there's a lot to like sort of that game that you need to buy all in. Like you can't sit on the fence with this stuff. It is the way it is, regardless of how you feel about it.
Mm. It's hard, but it's also fascinating because you do get to put your finger in many pies and you get to kind of learn other things. And I don't know, it always sort of freshens it up. So you can't necessarily get bored.
Oh yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, I love that part of it because I think a lot of people now can come at the game from the wrong vantage point. They can come at it from understanding, right? If you understand like ISO, if you understand aperture, if you understand shutter speed, if you understand lighting, if you understand thumbnails and titles and clickbait and Instagram and algorithms and all this, you can do pretty well. But if you want to do really well, understand your craft first, and
Mm.
then you can either leverage or like you can do it yourself or do both. Like we've just built out a podcast studio. I don't know, like it's got one, two, three, four, five 4K Blackmagic cameras. We got like an ATEM switchboard, four monitors, an LCD screen. We got four. Again, it's like we went through and picked out all this, and it's interesting for me because like, oh, this is a whole nother thing that
Mm.
I can look at equipment and be like, oh, this is an Eleiko bar and this is a Texas deadlift bar. But I can also now do that and walk into a room and be like, oh, like those are Sennheiser mics, or those are these headphones, or that's this monitor or whatever. So yeah, it keeps it interesting. It definitely makes your life way more than just reps and sets. That's for sure.
It's like the whole saying of like if you live 100 lives, you would learn 100 different crafts, right? You could never get bored. Like I don't understand how people can get bored of what they're doing. Like there's just so many things out there that will take your fancy, and you can just go down that avenue. But we are also blessed in the fact that we do not have a 9 to 5. We don't have to be somewhere at a certain time. I.e., yes, if we have a schedule or whatever, blah 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 blah, we have to be there. But we do have that option of like kind of meandering around the day and bending everything and then just stretching it out rather than be like, all right, I'm gonna go sit at my desk for 8 hours and I'm gonna come home and sink some lagers.
Yeah, it can be a blessing and a curse, man, because I use the word stretch out. I think that's where on the time management thing, you will use the time you have to do the tasks that you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I had this teacher in grade 7. He told about his like cousin that worked is kind of a remedial job. He had to clean the parking lot, which was an overflow parking lot for the staff of a casino in our hometown. And they would drop him off and be like, "Yeah, it was obviously like a massive parking lot." And he's like, "Okay, like we'll pick you up in 3 hours." And you just go around with a broom and sweep up. It's kind of like obviously like a bullshit job.
Mm.
And he like the kid worked really hard and he did it in like an hour, but he had 2 hours to kill. So when the guy came back to pick him up, he was just sitting there. You can't clean a parking lot any more than once it's clean, it's fucking clean. Like there's no trash on it. It's outside. Like what do you expect?
Yeah.
And then the guy kept getting yelled at. He's like, "Hold on, I'm doing a good job and I'm doing it efficiently, and you're mad at me." So the guy was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna take 3 hours to clean the damn thing." And I think that's where in our industry where we kind of get a taste of this freedom. We break away from the 9 to 5. Maybe we get a few clients, a couple clients in the morning, come back. I'm gonna train in the middle of the day, a couple clients in the afternoon, right? Like fuck, for how long that was my life. And man, did I feel good. I was an entrepreneur. Are you joking me? I'm in the middle of the day, maybe go out for lunch, come back, hop a pre-workout, train for 3.5 hours, shower quickly before my client showed up, train 3 clients and go, whew, what a red letter day. It's like, you lazy piece of shit. Block your clients. Hey, 5 a.m. to 5 or 10 a.m. Train. You're at home by noon. Then your day starts. Then you work on things that are going to get you out of that situation, right? You're gonna work on, whether it was the business or whether it was going to school. Or I think a lot of times we fucking just pat ourselves on the back and think, "Oh, what a day! I'm exhausted. Look at all the things I did." It's like, look how long it took you to do those things, right? Like, yeah, I used to love training for 3 hours, but it's like I was just fucking jerking around, right? But now it's like I have 45 minutes. Why? Because I got a call at the end of this, and I just got off a call. I have 45 minutes. Go do as much as you can. So it can be a blessing and a curse. Like it can be a crutch and an anchor. And a lot of people like, and hey, if that's how you want to live your life, totally do your thing. Do whatever makes you happy. But like to your earlier point about time management, it's like that surplus of time is an illusion. And I think it fucks people up so bad because they feel like a couple clients in the morning do this. Oh shit, they got it all in their calendar. It's like, okay, but that better not be your fucking calendar in 2 years, man. Like you better actually pick some time out to sort of invest in like your future return. Otherwise, this is gonna be it forever.
I'm so glad you said that, man, because a lot of people get comfortable with like stagnation. They know what's going on, they know where they're at, they just want to stay there for the next 5-10 years or even longer. But for me, it like freaks me the fuck out. Like if I'm not making any progress, like it fucking freaks me out. And there's like so many conversations I've had with like ex-mates, ex fucking girlfriends, like people like family members or some shit. They're like, "What are you doing? Like you finished your work." And I'm like, "Yeah, I finished my work to keep me where I'm at. But now I need to go do some work so I don't fucking stay where I'm at." Like, but I don't understand. Like, you're doing all right. I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm not doing fucking amazing. I'm not doing great. I'm not doing fantastic. Like, we need to fucking keep going."
Yeah, and I don't know. It's what people value, right? Like if people value sitting around and not being stressed, and that's cool, man. I'm just like you. I had my girlfriend's mom when we started dating. She's like, "What do you do?" Which is like fair enough, man. Like
Yeah.
I'm covered in a bunch of dumb tattoos. I live in an okay neighborhood. Like most of my neighbors think I'm drug dealer. I'm a drug dealer. Like whatever, man. It's all good, but I was like, think of like, and I told her this analogy. I'm like, I kind of work on the post, like it's like I work in the post office on the internet. She's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, the work just keeps coming in. I always have shit to do, and like my girlfriend's great. She's like, she knows. It's like, "Hey, are you done work?" She doesn't even say that anymore. She's like, "Are you done work for tonight?" Is the phrase. It's like, yeah, I can be done for tonight, but it's like, no, it doesn't stop. It can be as expansive as an undertaking as you want it to be, but yeah, it's an interesting lifestyle because if you can make it work for you and you can invest in that prospect of like future returns, it's insane. It's insane what you can do with an extra few hours a day.
Mm.
But a lot of people just, yeah, they either, a few loggers, as it were, or they just fill up that entire day with things that are just working on being okay currently, rather than kind of investing in future.
Mm. For me, it's the people you meet along the way, man. Like the amount of like fucking incredible individuals that I would never have had an opportunity to even have a conversation with. I like the likes of yourself right now, or even you just bump into each other in the fucking gym or whatever, and you just kind of like get linked up through someone else. It's like, whoa, like we have so much in common. We're just gonna feed off each other. Boom. Now you've just gained so much more motivation, inspiration, like even just collaboration or anything like that. It's the people you meet along the way, man. It's insane.
And the longer you're in it, the more like if that's leverage essentially, right? The
Mm.
more you'll be able to leverage that piece. Like that's still to me, and again, I've been doing this a while. It's still to me the thing that keeps me doing it is like I'll find myself in gyms where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like I know this guy, that guy's got a Super Bowl ring on, this guy's worth this much money, this guy, whatever. And it's like, yeah, that I think to me is the most addictive part of it is like who's gonna walk through that door next.
Mm. I just had that recently on the last, like I said, I went up to Auckland, right? So last Thursday I got an email. They took them like fucking 3 months to get back to me as people do, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like we've all got shit to do. But yeah, Alex, come up. Here's 2 tickets, blah blah blah, and they invited me to a TED talk. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, me? Are you sure? So I go up, you fucking like shaking hands, breaking bread with the likes of like CEOs, startup companies, people that are creating AI for like cardiology, fucking diagnosing diseases like way before the naked eye can do. I'm just like, mate, I was fucking homeless twice. What the fuck am I doing here? You know what I mean?
But you stay in that room long enough and you realize all those people are homeless too.
Yeah, fucking it's I mean, it's the people, man. It's the people that make it. Like we said, the people make the world go round.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. It's and I think it of all things that compound, like your understanding compounds, hopefully your lifestyle, your comfort, whatever, all of that compounds, but nothing hits a hockey stick curve like the caliber of people. And it's because we communicate just like anyone else. Like, one a software engineer or someone working on neural network convolutions to diagnose pathologies in some AI setting, he communicates with ones and zeros. We communicate with reps and sets. But it's like the passion behind that thing that you're communicating. It's like that's what you really start to find is the similar piece behind all those people in that room. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, like we're not that different. It's just, we can look at what we do and we can kind of like put it in the corner and be like, yeah, we just play around in the gym. But it's like, no, we communicate. And the better you get at it, the better conversations you get to have with people who are equally as skilled in their respective means of communication.
Yeah, man. Like you break down the dialogue that people are coming out with. Like we're saying the same things, we're just using different mediums.
Right.
And I don't know, like it usually just takes like an open ear and like, okay, we will sit down and have a honest conversation. I'll ask you questions to hear your side, vice versa, blah, blah, blah. And then people get to understand that. Yet people usually come to conversations as a little bit emotionally charged. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I know about my thing, so my thing's right. It's like,
Right.
in your eyes, you know?
Yeah, it's nice too, like when you're speaking like across discipline, because I
Mm,
think it's way easier to like abandon your ego. Because
mm,
it's like I don't need to front that I need to know a lot about fitness because this guy knows a lot about computer science. So he did in his eyes, I am the smartest fitness guy he knows because I'm probably the only fitness guy he knows.
yeah.
So you can have way more open conversation and vice versa. Like maybe he gets real uh, scared about not being the smartest computer science guy, and but he's talking to a fitness guy, so it's like it allows him to speak a little bit more candidly and a little bit more open and like kind of devoid of ego because like I know how I get, and then again like I've been doing this a while, but I know when I talk to other people about fitness stuff, I'm still like, oh shit, am I wrong?
Mm.
Like, and then you get to the point where does it matter if I'm wrong? Because it matter? Like, well, what's the consequence of this being a mistake? But yeah, it is nice to start to reach outside, and I think it's only when you go certain depths within what we do that those conversations become beneficial. It's like, oh, okay, like you solved this problem in your respective field that was a challenging problem. I've had to do something similar, and you can kind of look left and right and go, oh, okay, we're all very similar, and we're overcoming these hurdles. We're just overcoming them with different tools of calibration.
Mm. Yeah, we each respect each other's paths, but we're just not walking down. We're walking down our own path. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I appreciate the hard work you've put in for that to get to that result, but I'm just on a different path, and you're going to do the same thing for me.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
Mm.
It's a good solace to have. It's nice to know other people are just going through it.
Mm.
Like it's nice, like, oh, it's nice to know someone else gets up at 5 a.m. It's nice to know that someone else has to deal with like lawyers or accountants or whatever the hell. So it's, yeah, misery loves company, as they say, right?
I've got a mate who's actually going to be moving into my place. It's going to be like a fucking gladiator camp. Again, he's the one from Scotland, and occasionally we'll fucking send each other messages at 4 o'clock in the morning, like, I'm up, motherfucker. Like, I'm up reading or fucking getting after it. I hope you're fucking awake. And he'll just send me like a middle finger emoji. I was like, I've been up for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. And just as like the people that you can meet outside of the industries are important, like the people that you surround yourself on a day to day, that's probably been like my biggest catalyst. Is like, dude, I was in Florida for 4 months. I just only got back to Canada 2 weeks ago. And every time I was in a room, I was the poorest person in the room. I was the dumbest person in the room. And I'm not being like hyperbolic. Like, I'd be in a room where it was easy. Like my boss at one of my jobs, you can go online and see how much he made in his career in the NFL. He made $120 million playing football. His gym is worth $300 million. It's like, oh, okay, I'm good here. But it's such a like, and I know that is such a catalyst that when things shut down here and I couldn't be around my other friends that were infinitely more successful or driven or passionate here, I was like, oh, I'm gone. I literally like, oh, we're shutting things down again, and I just booked a plane to Florida, and I called a few of my friends like, hey, I'm coming, and that was the only reason. That was the whole driving factor. It was like, I can't not be around those people that are gonna push me to get up. Because I have friends that get up at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
but they make a couple $1 million a month. So hey, maybe when I got 8-9 figures in the bank account, I'll get up at 10 a.m. But I'm gonna get up at 4:30 now because they're younger than me and they're waking up because they've earned that, right? So it's like I gotta pay into that, and that to me is motivated. Them waking up at 10 makes me want to get up earlier. Because it's like, oh, I gotta catch you, and the only way I'm gonna catch you is if I'm up 6.5 hours before you are, and sometimes that doesn't even feel like enough. But yeah, and that's like, I think when it comes down to networks, like, and it doesn't have to be in your field, but whoever you surround, not even that, like whoever you follow online.
Yep.
What are you inundating yourself with? Like, it's there's so much noise and there's so little signal. It's like people can get lost in the noise. It's like the more you can flesh that part out, the way better off you'll be.
It's what you're consuming, right? Like, I'm pretty sure it's common knowledge now that if you fucking eat Mackies all the time, you're gonna feel like shit, right? It's like, well,
Yeah.
I'm putting shit food in my system. The body will feel like shit. The mental state will feel like shit too. Yet we go over to like the social media, fucking whatever, mainstream media, whatever it is, we're just consuming, or we're being around those types of people. I'm like, wow, why am I feeling really unproductive? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing that? And it's like, you are consuming what is around you. You are consuming what you're reading, what you're watching. Like it's going to end up messing with you. And the easiest thing to do is just go super introverted and be like, right, I'm going to cut all that bullshit out. I've got a bedtime, I'm off my phone like 30 minutes before your bed so you can wind down or do whatever you need to do. And then, like you said, surround yourself with those people that fucking push you. Be the dumbest, poorest motherfucker in the room, weakest motherfucker in the room. It is the best way to progress.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt, man. I'm a testament to that. I couldn't agree more. And I think a lot of people, like you said, there's the comfort and the complacency. It's like, I have friends I'm no longer, and you said ex-mates, ex-girlfriends, like people you used to be friends with, people you used to be in a relationship with. And it's like, that's okay. I think a lot of people are like, I have maybe 2 friends from when I was a kid that I still talk to because they think in a very similar fashion to me. But I have friends I grew up with that are fucking retarded. I have friends that are they're morons. They're absolute morons. Like, yeah, they were great. And if I ever needed to bury a body, I would call them. But it's like, dude, at this point, and it's okay. Like, it's not, and people look at that like, oh, you're like turning your back. It's like, no, man, like, it's just not going to benefit me. So it's like, it's not like I'm talking shit. Like, I tell them that they're stupid. I've told them that they're stupid since the day we met, but it's like, it's okay that they're stupid. They know that they're stupid. They love being stupid. It's one of their favorite things to do. It's like, all right, yeah, that's cool, man. Like, we just don't hang out all the time anymore because it's like I can't consume that, as you put it, right? Like, it's just, we're not here for a very long time, man. It's weird. Like, I'm turning 31 next week and starting to fuck with me a little bit because I'm like, no, I'm not in my 20s anymore. And now I'm kind of getting old. So it's like, if I live to 60, that's only double this. If I live to 90, that's only, 2/3 more than this. Like, this it didn't take me long to get here. So it's like, man, I don't want to waste any time. So if I feel like I'm wasting time on someone I'm on.
Yeah, time and money is the only thing you can spend once.
Yeah.
Like, you
You
can
go make more money.
Yeah, you can make more money, which is great, but at the same time, like, you can't spend that time again.
Right.
And you can't spend that money again. You have to go make it, which usually involves swapping out more time.
More time. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Buying back your time has been one of the most important concepts I've adopted probably in the last couple of years. Anytime where I can pay to buy back my time, that's a worthwhile investment. Like, if I can pay to not have to stand in line waiting for a flight, and I can show up at the airport because I can get to go on a different line or some shit, I don't care if I make no money. I'll make time back and then I can make money. Brilliant. Let's do that. Buying back time is like, because I think we seed a lot of time on the front end. And I think people get trapped in like what got them somewhere is what going to get them to the next level. And it's not. Like, you got to abandon a lot of the ways that you think when you try and progress. And one of the things that I would do is like, okay, I used to spend a lot of time just like, just grunt work, just do what other people won't do it when they won't do it. But at a certain point, it's like, if this is work that I could get someone else to do and my time now better leverage doing something else, I'm not going to waste my time. If money can give me time back, here, take the money and I'll take the time. So I literally had a conversation with a guy. His name's Fuad Abiad. So Fuad is a professional bodybuilder out of Canada. He has like a very, very successful bodybuilding podcast called the Real Bodybuilding Podcast. And, it's a YouTube channel, 300, 400,000 subscribers. Like, he'll probably do like a few million downloads a month cumulatively. Like, very successful dude. And we just had him on our podcast. And I was asking him, so I actually got him into podcasting years ago. I was like, dude, just fucking do it, man. Like, old school bodybuilder doesn't want to do it. Hates social media, all that crap. And I was telling him, like, he's like, he usually edits and uploads the episodes himself. And I was like, dude, the second I could afford to have someone do that for me, I just did it. He's like, yeah, but what about your margins? Like, yeah, I didn't make money for like a month. And then the time that it took me that I was uploading videos and all this crap that someone else was doing, I did that to something that was leveraged to making that money back and then some, right? So just understanding like however you can buy your time back. And I think it starts too with learning how to value your time period, which is something that people in our industry really struggle with, right? Like, a personal trainer, ask them how much they're worth an hour. I have no idea. They have no idea how to calculate that. Hey, what should I charge? What are you worth? What do you value? What do you value yourself? What have you proclaimed to be valued for, right? Like, what are your credentials? What have you done? Who have you trained? Do you look like you train? Like, there's so much that goes into it. And a lot of people just kind of go into these conversations like so haphazardly, and they're just like, $50, $100. All right, how are you basing it? Then how do you know how to progress? How do you know when to charge more? It does seem to be like one of the Achilles heels of people who get into our industry. It's like not understanding the transaction of time and money.
Especially when you come up and you're scrimping and scraping for pennies, right? You don't have two pennies to rub together. Like, it's hard to turn down like cash in hand or money straight away. You're like, no, I'm going to turn down that hourly rate because I'm going to use that hour to work on something. But that thing that I end up producing or creating or doing whatever, that networking will then just give me quote unquote passive income further down the line, right? So if you create that online stuff, or say, for example, you're coaching me in person, right? Well, you're coaching me, I pay you for that hour. Great. You've helped one person. Fantastic. Go on with your day. Or you're online and you coach 10 other people, that's 10 people paying. Yet that stuff is already online. It's already there. They can come back to it whenever they need to. And then that can just exponentially grow. So it's really hard to get out of the mindset of like a blue collar mindset of, I'm going to trade my time for money. And it's something that I've gone through personally. It was just like everyone around me was blue collar, right? Coming out of the fucking west side of Manchester. It's you just get paid to do manual labor, you know what I mean? And that's all you're good for. You're like, well, hold on a minute. Like, I can only ever make X amount per day because they're only ever going to pay me for those hours and I can't have any more hours than 24. I was like, well, then I'm kind of fucked. Or you can like trade that time, work on something, and then you are getting paid when you're no longer there because you've created something like tangible, whether it's online. Obviously, granted, it's not tangible, but people can use it. And then it just snowballs, you know, and then you've got multiple streams going into one pot. And if you filling up a glass with multiple different streams or multiple different taps, it's going to fill up quicker, right? Then you can use that glass to go fill something else up.
Yeah, and it's easy. It's easy to lose the blue collar mindset when you go into the digital space. But if you can take that blue collar mindset into the internet, you'll, because it's like kind of what I said earlier. Like, all I do is just wake up earlier than other people. Like, I'll just do stuff that other people won't do. It's really the bottom line. It's like I'm not necessarily like smart by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just dumb enough to do stuff that other people are like, I probably won't do that. And it's like, that's just a blue collar. I grew up from like a really rough part of southwestern Ontario. And it's like, that's just what you did. Everyone works in factories and fucking builds cars and shit. And that was kind of it. So it's like, if I don't work hard, but if I can make it kind of hard for me and how I work online, and waking up early is a part of that, but I have this scalability, it's like, I will get a return equal to that of the disproportionate amount of more effort I put in to that of my contemporaries in the digital space. So it's like, and I'm not saying that like, you know, fucking Bernie Madoff or anything like that, but it's like, I have noticed that some of my friends are getting into the digital space just to earn the same amount online in less time, which is totally fine. But if I can now use online and work 12 hours a day, I'm going to be way further on than if I was stacking bricks for 12 hours a day. Right. And so I didn't move into the digital space to work for an hour a day and get paid for stacking bricks for 12 hours a day. I got into the digital space to work for 12 hours a day and get paid like I would for a month or 2 months or 6 months. Right. So that's kind of like where you see people kind of like the divide. They see the online space as like kind of a means to kick their feet up. But if you can kind of keep your skin in the game, like if you can keep that blue collar mindset, dude, you're gonna be, especially like the transient nature of our industry. Like everything is so temporal. It's like, dude, you could fall out of favor tomorrow. Like I would probably suggest that if you can, like, strike while the iron is hot. Right? If you have a captive audience, or if you can build a captive audience, like don't kick your feet up, man. Like don't relax and sort of, you know, rest on your laurels, as it were. It's like, now's the time to really stoke the fire. Take that blue collar mindset into the internet, and then you'll really be onto something.
That's totally right, mate. And I actually have the same conversations with some of the boys back home. You know, I've known them for fucking years, right, since God was a lad. At the same time, like, mate, you fucking break yourself day in, day out. You work 7 days a goddamn week to scrape by. Like, you use that fucking mindset, get yourself into a better position, i.e. maybe come over here or whatever, start working through accountancy, fucking IT or whatever it is, you know, start working on a frigging laptop rather than with your hands. Mate, you will roll in it within the space of a year and a half, 2 years. All you got to do is take the same mindset. You don't have to change anything between your ears and just apply it in a different space. Yes, you've got to break that that barrier of like, oh, my parents fucking stack shelves, so I've got to do that or whatever. It's like, nah, man, you're built for more, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I was in a similar situation. My parents offered me an analog solution to a digital problem. Right? Like I went to school for a decade and incurred $250,000 in debt and came up the other end. And I was sitting next to people who were making, you know, they would make my student debt back in profit in their online business, and they would do it with nothing more than like a bicep vein and a six pack. And I'm like, but you don't have a bunch of diplomas and initials after your name. And he's like, oh, you think that matters? But I do have 1 million followers on TikTok. What's TikTok? Oh, all right, fuck me, right? So it's definitely something that you can leverage. Like you can do that and leverage yourself a better situation. Like my sister went to medical school. She's like a real doctor in Australia. My father's an engineer. Like again, like my I feel bad for my mom because she always has to field the questions from her friends. How are the kids doing? And she always starts with Heidi because my sister is like married a CEO, has a house on the ocean. She has a young daughter. She's like an emergency room physician in Northern Australia, in Townsville, Australia. And then it goes like, well, how's Jordan? And like my parents really don't know what, like they don't know how to describe what I do. Like, we don't really know where he is. He's doing okay. I was like, well, we're doing fine, but like we are on a bit of we're an interesting generation that grew up in time to instill values in us before social media maybe took
Yeah.
that away from us,
Yeah.
but also had enough of an understanding and respect of social media to understand its power, its capability. So it's like if you were born between like I don't know 95 to like 87, you're kind of 95 might be a little bit young. That puts you at like 25 years right now. I turned 26, and like I'm 30, so I was born in 1990. There's like an area of kids that I remember getting into social media when I was like 15 or 16, like MySpace or something may have been like the platform du jour. So like I kind of knew I had my wits about me by 15 or 16, enough to know like I couldn't really be swayed by shit on the internet. At least not as malleable as someone who may have had that introduced to them when they were 10, right? Which is if you were 1990 or if you were 2000, if you were born 2000, you would have been 10 when like MySpace and all that was inundated. So it's like it is a weird generation of people who still kind of respect the old guard and the old way of doing things, and the calloused hands and the sweat on your brow, blue collar work week, but also understand like I know about the internet. I'm not like talking into FaceTime with my ear to the camera like my grandfather or anything like that. So it is an interesting, and if you can kind of get over your apprehensions of like that stigma that might be attached to it, it's like it is the new frontier. Like it is a gold rush of sorts in whatever industry you're in.
Mm. It really is, and it's still the teething process, right? You're still the teething stage of trying to figure out what's going on, how to do it, blah blah blah. So if you are hesitant to start, it's just like just start, mate. Like you'll fucking figure it out along the way. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be an absolute whiz at this before you even put pen to paper or finger the keyboard. It's literally just start and figure it out.
Yeah, I think you find confidence in the more you do this that you realize that no one has any idea what they're doing.
Yes.
Like the more you do this, like, oh, dude, everyone's making this shit up. I was like,
Mm.
oh, well, I might as well make my shit up too. And then everyone kind of gets together and pretends that they know what's happening. Like, dude, no one has any. Everyone's just fucking making like, and that's regardless of the size of the entity. Like, I've worked in some like very major corporations or sports teams where you're like, certainly, they must have it figured out. No, it's just people at the end of the day, right? Like, it's always just people making these decisions. So it's like, oh, all right, and the consequence is so little. And that's what I don't understand. Like the aversion to starting. It's like, what do you got to lose,
Mm.
right? Like there's really not much. There's not much risk now that you need to assume, and that wasn't always the case, and that won't always be the case. Like if you want to advance in business, like I think in my experience, like taking risks to the degree in which that risk is in itself inherently risky is going to likely pay off risk relative to that amount of risk, more reward.
Mhm.
But to start, there's minimal risk and there's really only upside potential.
Yeah, the only thing you're using is your time. Like you can do so much for free. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
for free. Start off with fucking Facebook or something, like Instagram. Like, it's all a free platform and just figure it out, Figure it out along the way, man.
Yeah, and I think you got to have confidence in that blue collar mindset. It's like whatever it is, I'm going to sort it out, and it doesn't really matter what. Like I could, and you the same. Like we could drop you into any industry tomorrow. Be
Hmm.
like, hey man, you're gonna go into real estate. Like, okay, because the skill that you have is not has anything to do with real estate.
Hmm.
The skill is like an ability to figure things out.
Yeah, man. Like I had it in Auckland. I lived up there for like 4 months, and I was absolutely pissed broke, and just got fired from one job. I was like just getting only a little bit of a coaching gig, and the other one with some kids, and I was like, I need to get a fucking second job. I'm pissed broke. So I walked into like some sort of fancy restaurant. Never had a clue what fine dining is in my life. You know, don't know the difference. Still don't know the difference for wine glasses. Don't know how to say the fucking wines. Don't know the cutlery. You know what I mean? I just like walked in. I was like, "Hey, mate, you're hiring." It's like, "Oh, have you got a CV and any experience?" I was like, "No, but I work harder than anyone else here." And he was like, "Okay, I'll see you tomorrow for a trial shift." I was like, "Yes, sir." Get there like fucking 30 minutes early. He was like, "Oh, do you know what you're doing?" I was like, "Not a fucking clue, but I'll figure it out." Next thing you know, I get the job, and I was like, literally a bitch boy. You know what I mean? It's like, Alex, go fucking pick up this plate. I was like, "Yep, I got it." Go like serve this table. Yep, I got it. No problem. But I mean, with a little bit of northern humor, I can chat a bit of shit with the customers. They kind of liked it, you know. And then I'm literally just running around like a fucking idiot, lifting all the heavy kegs. They're like, "Okay, cool. Yeah, you're hired." And it just literally rocked up and was like, "Look, I need a fucking job. You need someone that's going to work hard. I will work harder than the fucking owner of this place. I'm the guy."
Easy days.
Boom. Fine dining, mate. Fuck me. That was a weird
Love
experience.
it, dude. One of my favorites. One of my favorite things to do is go to nice restaurants.
Really?
I'm not even joking, dude. I eat 99% of my meals out of fucking Tupperware containers. If I could sit down at a Michelin star restaurant, oh man, I can't. It is the one of my single most favorite things to do is to sit there and have some fucking guy from the north of England try and fuck about the word Chateaubriand or some bullshit rich fucking stupid menu thing. I'm probably not even gonna like it, but I just love it's literally one of my favorite things to do is like every now and then when I'm in a city that has a really nice restaurant, that's the one. So the fact that you had to fuck around to do that is amazing to me.
Honestly, man, I rocked up. There's this table of American families, right? They all came off like a massive fucking cruise ship. They're like, "Oh, excuse me." I was like, "Yeah, mate. What's going on?" I was like, "Oh, can you tell me the differences between these two wines?" And I just looked at him. I was like, "One's red and one's white." And he thought I was taking a piss out of him. And I was like, "Honest to God, mate, that is the only thing I know. Like, one's fucking red, one's white." And he was like, "Right." I was like, do you like this one?" He was like, "No." I was like, "Well, then I probably wouldn't order it, mate." And then that was it. That was all I could fucking tell him.
Dude, best advice ever.
It's like,
There you
well,
go. That's amazing.
what
Simplest
goes with
answer
this
is a good
food?
answer.
I don't know. I don't know what you're eating, you
That's
know?
hilarious. That's so funny.
Oh, mate, fuck me. Yeah, got absolutely roasted by the head chef one night because she was like, "Oh, Alex, take this to table whatever," and she used the fucking proper name for it, and I was like, "Which one's that one?" He was like, are you taking a piss?" I was like, "Why? How don't you know what a fucking, I don't know, flaming yarn or whatever?" And I'm like, I just looked at it. I was like, "Well, that's beef to me, mate." Next thing you know, fucking massive argument. She's like throwing shit. I'm like, "Look, fucking point and tell me the table and I'll get it done. Don't fucking use this fancy shit for me. I have no idea what I'm doing."
Oh shit! You can take the kid out of London. You can't take London out of the kid.
Fucking mate, honestly, it was a good time though. It was a good time.
That's funny.
Especially when people get, you got to have this gin with this tonic water and this rum with this fucking soda and all that type of shit. And if you get it wrong, like they send it back. So I'm just like getting half cut on the fucking job because they're like, "Well, if they're not going to drink it, I will, and it's free."
Oh, that's the best part about being in one of those positions, man. It's like just getting absolutely sauced off your own incompetence. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Oh no, what was it? Oh yeah, one of them was like, "Oh, I'm ill. I can't drink with the fucking steroids I'm on." I was like, "Alex, taste this wine. Tell me if it's okay." So, yeah, bro. I don't drink wine. Like it gives me a headache. Anyway, I tasted it. I was like, pretty good to me. Tastes alcoholic. Gives it to this like wine connoisseur from somewhere from the States, and he goes, "No, no, no, that's gone off." And again, I get in the shit. I was like, "Mate, I don't know the fucking difference between white and red wine. Never mind, like whether it's gone off or not."
Right. That's so funny. Yeah. To me, it's all sour grapes.
Fucking in it, mate. Like someone's just been standing on grapes. It gets a bit fermented. We drink it and we go a little bit tipsy. Wow.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I can do without it.
Yeah, fuck that shit. I'm not a wine guy. Whiskey though, you Canadian. It's gonna have to be
Not at
whiskey.
all.
Not at all.
Not at all. 12 years. Stopped drinking
Nice.
when, stopped, 13. Stopped drinking when I was 18.
What is that?
I had too much shit to do. I was too busy. I was too busy on Sundays to be hungover.
Oh no, that's why I don't. Well, I'll like maybe every fucking couple of months I'll have like one whiskey with a couple of people, but I can't be hungover, man. Like
Yeah, no.
it fucks me too much.
Yeah, if you like flambe dessert in alcohol, I feel it.
Oh really? Well, you've 13 years like without a drop, like it's
Not
gonna
a
do it,
drop. Yeah, not for me.
mate. I really appreciate your time,
Yeah, dude. It was fun to talk shit.
mate. Where would you send people if they wanna fucking find you?
Instagram's easiest. So at the underscore muscle underscore doc. Any education stuff would go prescript.com, www.free-script.com. Yeah, those are probably two best places. Email address or my website, www.themuscledoc.com.
Themuscledoc.com. I mean, that is a very fitting name. Absolute legend. Appreciate it, lad. You have a fucking cracking evening.
Cheers, brother.
All right, mate. Take it easy.